Hey everyone, I hope you're starting the week off well. I would like to talk a little bit about week 1 readings and assignments. This week will be all about critical incidents and crisis intervention. I'm excited to be speaking to you about this because this has become somewhat of a specialization for me within my own practice. You'll see that there are a variety of different approaches to critical incidents, and you'll be reading about many of them in the articles this week. Please read all of the articles as well as view both of the videos. This will provide you with multiple different perspectives on the approach for critical incidences and crises. Critical incidents can include anything from things like mass layoffs within a business to large-scale disasters. The idea behind these types of interventions is not to provide treatment to the individuals impacted, but to provide brief intervention as a way to reduce the residual impact of the event. You'll see that some of the approaches may include group intervention or debriefing or individual intervention. And in addition to that, you may find that there's a lot of overlap between the approaches. The articles in the 2 required videos will be informative regarding the approach, but I can share some of my own experiences with these approaches. I work as a therapist in an outpatient psychiatry practice, which is part of a larger hospital system. The type of intervention used within the system I work with is critical incident stress management or debriefing. Incidents in which we may be called out to provide the service can be broad. In the past, they were incidences such as violence against staff within the hospital, traumas experienced by first responders. However, recently we've been involved with a chronic level of crisis due to the pandemic. The feedback from staff regarding the intervention has, it's always been positive. You know, it's a way for them to kind of share about what their experience has been and really like kind of dump everything out because they're extremely busy within the hospital system. And you may find that, you know, with any critical incident that might not even necessarily be within the hospital. So the feedback is always well received and hopefully, you know, at least it at least minorly reduces the emotional impact of the pandemic for staff. You know, what we know about the pandemic is that, you know, the medical part of the pandemic may, you know, start leveling out at some point, hopefully. But the emotional impact of it will last, you know, for years beyond this pandemic. So although these interventions may be brief and don't always appear like therapy as we know it, they can have a great impact. So moving on to the discussions for the week, your first discussion is purely a way to evaluate your own progress at the start of this course. As you can see, it's a pretty straightforward description, though I would really like you to try to focus equally on both your strengths and challenges. Focusing excessively on either can pose an issue within your development. Think of it like you would within your own treatment. You must focus on strengths in order to use them to move forward and feel a sense of empowerment and confidence. But we must not neglect the opportunities to recognize areas for growth. Both are needed in order to develop into the best social worker you can be. So this discussion also requires a response post. You know, just provide some feedback to one of your classmates. It may be useful within the response post to maybe focus a little bit more on affirmations so that we can try to build each other up. So the initial post, as usual, is due by Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and response post by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Moving on to the second discussion, you'll be using the content and learning resources for the week to address this discussion. First, you'll be choosing and reading one of these 4 case scenarios and following the prompts for the initial post. Please think of this as a crisis intervention scenario, as all of them are, and include the treatment models and techniques learned in this week of the course rather than models that you've learned in the past for long-term treatment. So, you know, to give some further description of the bullet points for the post, you know, addressing the section that you will be rating, you know, regarding resources, just to give you an idea of what I might expect for that section. It can be a variety of different things from referrals to long-term treatment or just community resources. It can even be, resources, within their own personal life as well. So it could really be anything there. Lastly, please remember to place some good attention on how you might take care of yourself within these scenarios, as many, if not all, crisis scenarios include a level of trauma. Vicarious trauma is something we should always be aware of, especially when dealing, with a high level of stress moments. If we don't take care of ourselves, we're definitely less capable of caring for the needs of others. Some examples of what you might do to pay attention to your own needs is, in situations such as this, just kind of debrief amongst your colleagues, with your supervisor. In addition to that, identify some ways that you might take care of yourself even at home. What kind of things do you do to relax? And just, you reference a way that you would focus on your own needs, since, a lot of the work we do is focused on the needs of others, because we all care about the needs of others. So a little extra attention needs to be placed on how we might care for ourselves, because it just might not come naturally to us as social workers. So for this post, you'll also be required to post one response for the discussion. There is a requirement within this response post to provide at least one suggestion of an additional skill that might be helpful to your classmate. So that's all we have for week 1. I hope you enjoy the readings and videos. I look forward to seeing all of your discussion posts. And as usual, reach out with any questions, and I hope you have a great week.